Today we're going to talk about Passport Bros. I'm actually a real Passport Bro, and I'm going to tell you why I say real, but I've been living here, Bangkok, Thailand, for over 2 years now. As a matter of fact, I'm live streaming from my condo right here in central Bangkok. Um, I'm going to react to this lovely lady right here because I thought it was very interesting video, well put together. She is a Western woman who is hosting a channel called Dating Beyond Borders. I'll try to put a link in the description. And, I try not to watch the entire video because I really do like to do the live reactions. But I watched a little bit to know enough that she's interviewing a few Passport Bros, and we'll see if they really are. And then she has an interesting perspective just overall. But does seem like this channel encourages people to date beyond borders, like their name suggests. So we're going to do that in a second, but let me explain really quick why I said I'm a real Passport Bros. Because what you guys see on social media, and even in some of the documentaries or TV shows, these are not real Passport Bros. Now, I'm also going to say that I absolutely hate the term. It's an awful term, but originally it was meant for men like me who did not want to date in America. I'm originally from Russia, but I lived in America for most of my life. Don't want to deal with, westernized, feminist, masculine women with tattoos. And I left to another country, in my case, Thailand, but people go all over Southeast Asia, South America, sometimes in Africa. I was in Africa last month, and I've already kind of put together a report for you guys as well, what it was like dating there. So it's not necessarily Thailand per se or Philippines, but we come here to find, you know, submissive and traditional women, which there are still plenty here, pretty much none in America and Western countries. And that's our goal. But what you see on social media are a bunch of dudes who show up here, not very high value men. They're not looking to improve themselves. And they end up finding like the worst possible local girls who pretty much act like American girls because these guys don't bother, learning the language. They got tattoos, they got nose rings, their cleavage, their boobs, their asses in your face. That is not how traditional women dress. Traditional women do not want to be on camera. They're not social media hungry. And as a good man who is a real Passport Bro, you would never put your significant other in a situation where she is on blast on social media for people to judge her, and to even showcase her dressed in inappropriately revealing outfits. So what you see on social media is not really Passport Bros. These are just losers who come here and for some easy pussy, and sometimes it is, but they end up usually with by far the worst women that real Passport Bros would never date. And I've already showcased those to you guys in a few videos. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, check it out, because I do have plenty of videos out there showcasing like these are not Passport Bros and these are not traditional women. So with that said, let's start reviewing this video. It is a good length. I think it's about 15 minutes. So this is going to be good. All right, ready? Let's go.
Spent a significant amount of time in Latin America and I've met a lot of Western guys, and there's definitely a pattern that I noticed. A lot of these guys are dissatisfied with the dating scene back home. Now, this isn't just a man thing. I've met so many women that are equally frustrated with the dating scene back home, and they're also abroad to find something better. But with men, especially Western men,
Now, okay, so this is funny that she mentioned this. She also says there are women who are dissatisfied with dating in America, which is fucking ridiculous. I'm not saying she's lying. She's right. But when a woman is dissatisfied with her choices that she can have on, dating apps everywhere going out in America, in a Western country, my goodness, this is beyond delusional. Because it's funny because I see these women sometimes here, not too many, but I see them come here. I can't necessarily say that they're looking for love, but they come here for maybe jobs or just they move to Thailand for beaches or whatever. And we do have amazing beaches. And then they pretty much never get wifed up. I mean, you can see them posting on social media saying like, I can't believe this. I was such a popular girl. All the guys love me on social media. And then I come here and I'm like invisible. I haven't had a date in like a year, you know? And these are not bad looking girls, by the way. It's just when men have a choice between Western women and traditional women, pretty much every single guy goes like, oh, fuck no to that now, you know? So, you know, it is very clear. So when these women go to other countries, you know, what I do see sometimes when they have, I would call it success, I guess, is that when they, you know, they make good money. Just like, you know, when you come here, you make good money. So they just like men come here and buy women, some women go there and buy men, right? They're the providers, but they get, you know, to run their household. They get these guys to be submissive housewives, house husbands for them. So that's the only way how I see these women have success. And in some cases, if you want to be the boss chick, if you want to be the guy in the relationship, you know, where what do they call it? Well, where the balls essentially in the family, then yes, you can go to other countries and find that. But generally speaking, it's kind of funny that that's even a thing.
Has become such a trend that it's practically a movement. It is actually a movement, and it's called the Passport Bro movement. So much so that there is an actual website for it. Now, I know the reaction of many of you is, ew, I absolutely hate those.
Okay, before we get to the ew, you know, first of all, I've never heard of that official website. There's no such thing as official website, and I can probably even argue there's no movement. Like, it's like we're not bonded together. These are just one by one of us just realize, listen, I can't find a wife here. The quality of women have plummeted in America in terms of being, you know, traditional women. They're absolutely undateable. And I want to have a wife. I want to be in a relationship, or like me, I just don't want to be surrounded by Western women. You know, I'm just developed an allergy to it, just like gluten. You know, I just get fucking sick. Even when I hear these women, they just like my ears are bleeding just listening to them talk, because they don't talk the same as traditional Thai women, right? So I you know, it's it's not a movement thing. I know you can call it a movement, but it's more of a concept. I think these decisions are very individual. At least it was for me. All right. Now she said that people say, "Ew, I hate those guys." You know who hate those guys are usually women who realize that, you know, they cannot get men that they want, right? Usually they're now in their 30s and 40s, and you know me, I do videos of reacting to their videos a lot, because some women do realize in their 30s and 40s how stupid of a path they've taken. Now, do they end up taking the better path? No, they usually don't. But at the end of the day, these are the women who end up lonely with cats and antidepressants, posting on social media, crying about how they're no good men anymore. Well, you drove most of us out. But these are the same women who will be like, ew, you know, this guy, you know, going out there for women who can't, you know, who make them into slaves because they're so poor and uneducated. You know, obviously these women have never been abroad. This is just uneducated opinion that I wish some of these women would actually see my money for something, you know. And I don't mean I want a gold digger. I'm saying like, I wish they would see me with money and say, hey, this guy had to be very hardworking and had to have education and had to choose, you know, work over play sometimes, and dedicated, you know, and maybe even talented. All of those things. That's how he got the money, right? I wish these girls would look at my money, but a lot of people here, I would say the majority of people, this is what Americans don't understand. Yeah, they may not have as much money as Americans, but my goodness, they're so much happier, you know. And these women, they live with their families and they love it, you know. There are pretty much no homeless here. Everyone's got something to eat, everyone's got a roof over their head, and almost everybody's got health care, something that most Americans, you know, can't claim, right? So you know, these women don't really need, you know, foreigners to come and save them. And by the way, there are plenty of educated and rich Thai men here who are even better choice for them sometimes because they speak the same language. So, you know, but let's keep watching.
Guys, I know this because these are the comments that I get under my reels that feature these guys that would classify as Passport Bros. In fact, it's those comments that got me thinking to finally breaking the silence and making a video on this topic. First of all, how do you spot a passport bro? Because let's be real, if it's just hating the dating scene in your country, I think most of us would qualify. But there's more.
So she has a good point, right? If you just, and this is what a lot of red pill podcasts are, right? Just sitting in Los Angeles or San Diego or Florida, whatever, Miami, and bitch about the dating scene. That doesn't make you a very good leader of the movement, right? I did something about it, right? Bitching about anything, especially as a man, does not look good on you. You can complain for a little bit, but you better find a solution very soon and execute it. And this is what my my course is all about. If you go to and I put it in the description of this video, if you go to the millionmenproject.com, this is where I outline, and you can see how long the table of content there is. This is where I outline every step of the way you have to take in order to kind of become a real passport bro. Pick the right country, understand the culture, figure out how to transition from your old culture to the new culture. There's just so many logistical things, because people just show up here and go like, oh, yes, I'm going to stay. That is not, this is how you come here and still fuck up your life from day one. There's a right and the wrong way of how to move to another country, how to start dating another country, how to even figure out which country. I mean, there's a lot of countries out there, right? And people don't know, oh, Thailand is good. Well, but do you know if you can stay here long term, how are you going to make your income? Do you know if you can still invest into the stock market? Like this is how you make money. Like these dudes don't think about it at all, and they show up here and they end up in not a very good place, not physically, but like mentally, right? So this is why it took me 3 months to create my website, the millionmenproject.com. So check that out for sure. But she's right. Hating on your own dating scene does not make you passport bro at all. You're not using your passport at that point, right?
To it. First of all, their goal is dating, not travel or work. While an expat may naturally meet someone abroad, a passport bro goes somewhere where their value naturally goes up. Places like
yes. So this is exactly what I've been telling you. A lot of guys here that I see, there are very few passport bros here in Thailand, and I will even argue around the world, including Philippines and Colombia and stuff like that. You just hear the loudest voices, and they're usually not passport bros. But most guys that I see here, they moved here for many other reasons, which again is kind of weird. Like but a lot of times it's for work. So yeah, they show up here, they're working here, and they're like, well, Jesus Christ, like these women are way better, way more feminine, way easier to get along with, right? Way more catering and submissive. So they end up dating local girls. This is why, Western women don't do very well here at all. So she is absolutely right. This is a big difference that I don't think people understand. Digital nomads, people who just like travel here, work here, they're not really passport bros. They just happen to be here, and enjoy the benefits.
Like Southeast Asia or Latin America, places where there are fewer men that look like them. They also tend to favor countries with big economic and cultural differences. Again, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Eastern Europe are a great example because these countries have very strong gender roles. These men tend to lean more.
Yeah, so I don't know if I like the fact that she points out that these countries are poor. I live in Bangkok. Bangkok ain't poor. I see more fucking Ferraris here than I see in Houston, Texas, or even in San Jose, California, or Las Vegas. Well, Las Vegas, there's a lot of rentals, but this is a very rich city, actually. And my lifestyle and my life here has such a higher quality overall, including safety and healthcare and accommodations than I did in California or Texas or Nevada. But yes, generally speaking, the more developed the country is, like America, the less family values it has. So it doesn't have much to do with money, I think. I think money is more of like or income levels. It's more of like a side effect. But yeah, more traditional countries usually are kind of in the past, right? A little bit behind with everything. And I love it. I love it.
Conservative and are looking for women with more traditional values. There's also a bit of a romanticized view of women in these countries and a dislike for women in their own countries. Now, this is a part where you'll expect me to hate on passport bros, but
it is. And actually, this is why I like this video, because she does not look like a traditional girl, right? She looks like a very much a Western woman. And the fact that she actually has a pretty balanced and very sober view on what passport bro movement, I guess, is, and that's why I wanted to, show you this video, guys. All right, so let's keep going.
Take is a lot more nuanced than that. And also, instead of just giving you my opinion, I've also talked to a few guys in Playa del Carmen who you might consider to be a passport bro. I wanted to get their,
and this is what we're gonna have to judge, right? Are these real passport bros? Because like I said, a lot of these guys get on camera, they're like, oh, this is a passport bro, he's in a different country, right? And he's white. I'll be the judge of that.
Opinion on why they prefer dating abroad. By the way, a fun fact is that these passport bro reels are the ones that tend to go viral on my socials. Imagine being stopped on the street, answering a couple of questions, and suddenly you've blown up on the internet and you are getting tons and tons of comments with people tearing you apart without actually understanding the full context. I really feel for those people because once the interview is out there, there's little that I can do to control the comments or the hate that they get.
And it's a very good point, because a lot of guys don't want to speak on behalf of other men, whether it's men's rights or, in terms of, holding women responsible for their actions and words, or dating, because like I had to stop my previous channel. I have another YouTube channel about electric cars. I have 175,000 subscribers on YouTube, 500,000 on TikTok. I had 250,000 members in my Facebook groups for that. And I stopped that. I paused that, maybe forever, so I can start this channel. Because once you start talking on behalf of men, you essentially get canceled everywhere else, right? This is considered like, as soon as a man tries to hold women responsible for their actions and words, my goodness, misogynist, sexist, piece of shit, whatever, right? Like there's tons of other words that I'm getting thrown. So yes, these poor guys who get interviewed on the street, they think, oh, I'm going to help out, with a video, and then all of a sudden they get a lot of hate. I get a lot of hate. I mean, I literally just the other day I got a message from this girl, private message. You say, I hope you kill yourself, right? So there's a lot of real hate towards us. As a matter of fact, if I was still in America, I would probably think even twice doing that because of my safety. Right here, I'm pretty safe, right? We'll see about that. If my channel blows up at some point, we'll see. But at least here, I can afford hiring a security in a bodyguard. But in America, it's obviously much more expensive. So I know some other red pill influencers who are not huge, right? They're just, they're relevant, but they're not huge. And they tell me that, the death threats and threats to their families and their safety is huge. And this is what I'm trying to say is, right, women are horrible. Women in America are horrible, because as soon as you disagree with them, as soon as you point out their, mistakes and hold them responsible, they will fucking kill you, And of course, they have an army of simps, because majority of American men are simps, and they're ready to do like their little lapdogs for these women who will do anything to get attention from a woman. So it is really a problem. And so, yes, getting hate, like I can handle it, right? If I don't see hate comments in my videos, I start thinking like, did I do something wrong? Did I misrepresent myself, right? So to me, it feeds me, right? If I see all these modern women and simps essentially try to attack me, call me names, I feed off of that, right? To me, it's a positive energy, because I see none of them have actual points. Because some of the people who do have points to challenge me, they're actually pretty civil and they try to have a conversation, and I enjoy those comments, right? But usually the modern women and simps, they just attack you with just name calling and threats, right? So I can understand how some of these guys, now got some negative publicity, and kudos to them for doing it anyway, right? And kudos for her to acknowledging that.
Which brings me to this. Even if you don't go viral, your personal information might still be out there, and it's probably out there floating around the internet. Maybe a year ago you signed up for some newsletter where you purchased something online, or annual plan. So let's dive back.
That's how we make money, right? I did just shout out to my course, which you should check out at the very least. And this is how I made money on my previous channel as well. So all right, let's continue.
Why are more and more men looking for love abroad, and do they deserve all the hate?
Okay, what's your name?
Colin.
Colin, and where are you from?
Originally Canada, but currently living here in Playa del Carmen, and I have a property in Medellin, Colombia.
I'm Robin.
And where are you from?
I'm from Switzerland.
Hey, I'm Paul from Ireland, Dublin, Ireland.
Elena.
Philip.
Where are you guys from?
From Ukraine.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Why did you decide to go to Colombia?
All right, so let's talk about this guy. Now, generally speaking, passport bros are older guys. He seems to be like he's in his 20s. A lot of guys, especially nowadays, don't really even know what a traditional woman is because they've never met one. They're not at work. Most likely, statistically, his probably was either raised by a single mother or a simp father, right? So a lot of these guys don't. I had to, part of my course is actually to tell guys, well, this is what a traditional woman is. And I just did a live stream maybe a couple of weeks ago, also just outlining what a traditional woman is, because a lot of these guys don't even know. They don't even know how amazing traditional women are because they never met one. I have a feeling he did not know about a traditional woman before he traveled there. And we'll find out. Now, another thing I want to point out. Now, if you see a dude without a shirt here in Thailand, that is quite disrespectful to the Thai culture, right? This is a conservative culture. You do not dress like this. This is disrespectful. Now, I think they're doing interviews in Colombia, right? I don't know if that is okay there. So I'm going to reserve my judgment. But when I see guys like that, they are not passport bros. Part of being a passport bro is respect for the local culture. Part of a decent human being is respecting local culture. So I don't want to put it up on him, but he definitely looks like a bro, generally speaking, rather than sort of a grown man who knows the benefits of traditional women and is looking for a wife. I could be wrong about him. I'm just going by when I see guys like this here in Thailand, what they actually turn out to be. But again, let's reserve judgment for a second.
Girl.
What is the biggest difference with dating Canadian women and, well, I guess that one Colombian experience that you've had?
I prefer Latinas. Just the kind of like the more traditional masculine, feminine roles is more prevalent in like Latin America, I find. I probably won't go back to Western women.
Men need.
Yeah, so with him, okay. So I'm luckily I am wrong. He did come there for more traditional women, and he like, I gotta tell you, when you come here for that, and there are plenty of issues here. There are plenty of issues. You can definitely end up with the wrong girl. It is not that easy to get the right girl either. So, and you guys, I've talked about it on my channel many times. But at the end of the day, just not being around Western women is just such a weight off your shoulders. And I think that's part of what he's saying. Like, I'd never go back for sure, right? I'll figure things out here, there's some, challenges, but I'd just never go back. I also would never go back to live in America for many other reasons, crime, safety issues, horrible healthcare, disrespectful, just generally culture of people who just don't respect one another as human beings. Just the politics are so polarized. Like, I enjoy not talking about Trump or Biden or Kamala or whatever here. Like, people don't talk politics here, and Thailand is the friendliest country. We're friends with everybody: China, Russia, America, everybody. So I love that. I love being part of this country.
Western women.
Men need to be real men, which is.
All right, so before we go any further, you probably, if you watch my channel, know that my most popular video on this channel, I think 70,000 of you watched it, is how you should never date Russian-speaking women. And I explained in that video, she is Ukrainian, which does fall under Russian-speaking women. I recommend never, ever, ever do that. I also don't know if he's really a passport bro here, because did he go to Ukraine there, and why is he in Colombia? Or maybe he already met her in Colombia, but then, yeah, lots of question here, but not a good choice, generally speaking.
Gone from American culture for the most part. If you're too manly, you're the what is it?
Toxic masculinity.
Masculinity, yeah. So it's complete opposite.
Yeah, I have a t-shirt that I wear sometimes. It says toxic masculinity, my logo, and it says served daily. Proud owner.
You like this part about dating an Eastern European woman?
Yeah, I just get to be myself, and she likes it, so it's nice. So it's
Well, don't always be yourself. Like, this guy can lose a few pounds for sure, right? And I see these guys, they come here, they don't improve, and they want to date a great woman, right? You got to lose some weight. You got to get to the gym. I mean, he's not in a horrible shape, right? I'm just saying there's some improvement to be done. I like the fact that she's not butting in. So again, she could be one of those women who, Ukrainian women who went to live in Colombia. I still don't think that helps because there's Russian, Ukrainian women here, and they're the worst. They are the worst. So, but I will maybe give him a bit of a benefit of a doubt. But he's right about the American culture, that's for sure, right?
She likes it, so it's nice.
And one more thing I'll say is that I would suggest to you that if I had a choice, a horrible choice between dating an American woman and a Russian woman, I would absolutely go with an American woman. Like to me, Russian women is just do not touch ever, or even talk to. Kind of a yeah.
It was very like equality and like meaning like everybody should like take care of themselves, which like I think like a lot of people like want to have. Now in retrospect, I don't want to have it anymore. There's a certain dynamic when it comes to masculine and feminine energy also, which has its place and also like can cause tension, the right type of tension between. And I think a lot of that type of tension, let's say attraction, in Switzerland between couples is not that great. Like I spend a lot of time here in Mexico now, I spend a lot of time in Switzerland, and the dynamic between men and women and like the relationship, it's night and day.
Okay, so I stand corrected. I guess they filmed it in Mexico. And I do know a passport bro who lives in Mexico. 2 of them, actually. To me, Mexico, again, I would have loved to go to a Latin country because, I mean, I love curvy women in general, but also Spanish is the easiest language to learn, where Thai is the hardest. And I got to tell you guys, I'm delaying my wife search by a few extra years just because I need to learn Thai first. It's very difficult. So, but he's right. It's day night. Just the way how you interact with women here, how feminine they are, the feminine energy that you're getting from like, even like I always give this example of opening a door. I don't even open doors for Western women here at all. Like I literally do not see them. Like they don't exist to me. But the difference between opening a door for a Western woman and in a Thai woman, day and night, it's such a pleasure to do it for a Thai girl. You get so much amazing feminine energy back,
The dynamic between men and women and like the relationship, it's night and day.
I like a more traditional masculine role, and it kind of just fits with like Latinas. I like kind of being the earner and provider, and you kind of do more of the feminine.
This guy's growing on me. At first, he looked like an actual like douchebaggy bro. He does look the part, but everything that he said tells me that even in his young age, and kudos to him, he knows exactly what's up, and he took matters in his own hands and made it out. And he's obviously a good-looking guy, right? He's gonna do really, if he hasn't already, gonna do really fucking well. Where the same guy in America would really struggle to find. Yeah, he can get laid in America, but as far as finding a real wife, looks won't even matter anymore.
Roles like cook and clean and stuff, as bad as that sounds.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's just kind of more traditional.
It doesn't sound bad. See, he's got to man up a little bit more. Yes, cooking and fucking cleaning, absolutely. If a girl doesn't clean and cook, I mean, she's a useless wife, right? Just completely. I mean, I would add a long other list of things, right? Giving peace is number one, obviously, but massages. Like, to me, a girl who doesn't give like daily massages, not a wife material at all, right? Just a long list. Now, I do like going out for food. To me, it's more than just digesting, energy. So girls that I've been with don't necessarily have to cook every day, but like making me a smoothie in the morning is like absolutely must. So no, it doesn't sound bad. I hope he changes the way he talks about it. And men should not be embarrassed to say, hey, I'm the provider. What the fuck are you doing? At the very least, you can cook some food and clean this place up. When a girl comes to my condo for the first time, I always watch what she does, right? The best, like a lot of these Thai women, the first thing they'll do, they will, I have slippers, right? They'll go for the slippers and put it in front of me. And so I can, go and get into my slippers right away. A lot of times they'll like clean up. They'll be like, oh, you have dirty dishes. Well, that needs to be clean. Or your bed is not made, right? Oh, that needs to be taken care of, right? I see that. And to me, it's day and night. If a girl just comes in and just sits down like a princess, not going to work, girl. You might as well leave right now, right? But if a girl starts right away giving me feminine energy and showing me that she is, she can take care of a household, wifey, right? So don't be afraid to say this, dude. Absolutely. Cooking and cleaning. If not, get the fuck out.
Traditional roles, I find.
Americans have lost a lot of their cultural values. Eastern Europe, for the most part, has a very family-oriented kind of thing. Like, she's all about family. The white.
So again, I don't know her. She is dressed appropriately. She's behaving appropriately. She's not butting in. She's staying back like a good supportive role. So far, she's not giving me a typical Russian, speaking type of a girl, poisonous personality. So maybe he got lucky, right? Maybe she lived in another country long enough where she's no longer like Ukrainian Russian, and more of a submissive and wifey type of a girl. And he's right. I mean, this is why a lot of us left. Like, American culture now encourages women to be not wives. They encourage them to be boss chicks. They encourage them to be single. And it's sipping through here as well. I mean, there's a lot of women who are just being encouraged, like, yeah, you should be single. This is the best thing ever. And it's like, yeah, but what, really? There's only so much cats to go around. And, antidepressants production is, all-time high. And again, we see those women on social media complaining how they don't know what's going on in their 30s and their 40s, how they can't get high quality men. Yeah, he's right.
Wife will cook for the husband. In America, that's not a thing. I was telling her, like, my brother's wife cooks like 3 times a year. They just order Uber Eats every day. It's
Yeah, but the problem is who pays for the Uber Eats? The brother, right? So he works, he provides for the family, and then he pays for someone else to do his wife's job. So his brother is a simp, right? There's no real reason to have a wife around when you just have a dependent like a child. You know what I mean?
American women are very different.
То есть ему приятно, когда ты ему готовишь что-то?
Oh, wow. She speaks Russian. So, okay, so I was wondering, because her name is Marina, right? I was like, oh, that's kind of a Russian name, but could be also Latino name, right? She speaks Russian. Let's see. I will. Oh, well, there's a translation on the bottom here. Okay, so you guys read the translation. I will just listen to Russian.
Ничего ему не готовила на самом деле. Он не знает, как я
Wow, she just said, oh, okay, you guys know. She just said, oh, I never cooked for him ever.
готовлю.
So she said she...
Wait a
На самом деле, он не знает, как...
wait.
То есть ему приятно, когда ты ему готовишь что-то или как...
Ничего ему не готовила на самом деле. Он не знает, как я готовлю.
She said he doesn't know what my cooking tastes like. Wow.
So she said she hasn't cooked for you yet. So,
Yet. No.
but are you waiting for that moment?
Yeah, I want borscht.
Now, the first reason is
All right. So, okay. So I warned you guys, this Russian women, if a girl speaks Russian, she's Russian speaking, whether she's Ukrainian or Latvian or Belarusian or Russian, like the fact that, and this guy, and I looked at him and I'm like, this guy, I don't know about him, right? So if he's dating this girl and she hasn't cooked for him yet, like, all right, listen, maybe they're on a first or second date. I don't want to be an apologist for either one of them, right? I guess that's fine. But, unless their relationship is weak in, right, then the fact that she hasn't cooked for him, it's a big fucking, like, dude, he's obviously not following his own advice. Let's just assume they just started to date. Right, maybe we'll find out more as they put them in more. Maybe this is the end of those interviews, but let's see. Oh my goodness, that is fucking awful. That is fucking awful.
of course, gender roles. You may have heard that men are leaning more conservative than women these days. Women aged 18 to 29 are now 15 percentage points more likely to identify as liberal than men, while young men are actually more likely to lean conservative than liberal, with moderate being the largest group. And understanding the male psychology, where it's incredibly important for men to feel appreciated, to feel strong and capable and respected in a relationship, it will come as no surprise that a lot of American men prefer to date women that are nurturing, feminine, that make them feel strong and capable. A lot of men...
Yeah, unfortunately, those women are not available in America. And I want to correct her. It's not just important to feel like a provider, right? Like I had a, you need to be a provider. You need to be a good decision maker. You need to know how to provide security for yourself, for your significant other, for your family altogether, right? So, for example, if you have a house, right, make sure that you keep the house safe, right? Like when my house in Sacramento, my cameras all around, right? My door is reinforced. My back door is also reinforced. When I go to bed, motion sensors all over the place. my bedroom door, closed. I mean, when I lived in America, I don't need to do that anymore. And my gun right there next to me. So by the time, if someone decides to break into my place, right, and get to my bedroom, by the time that person enters my bedroom, there's a bullet fly out of my gun into their face, right? This is a preparation to defend yourself and your family. Most guys don't even know how to do that. There's nothing they can do when somebody decides to get into their house and, rape their wife and, take their children away. They're not prepared. If you're a man who lives in a house with your family and you cannot fight off an intruder, you're not a very good provider. I don't care how much money you make and how big this house is, and that Mercedes or Rolls Royce is not worth anything if you cannot defend your family. So there's much more than just feeling like you are a good provider. You need to actually be a good provider. That is very important.
Under the impression that Western women are only out to use them or are only searching for a certain type of man, and as such, don't give them the time of day. Now, keep in mind.
Yes. So the only way to date in America, and the only way to date English-speaking Thai women and Filipinos, which is most, and I was just in Kenya, is to either pay them to be your girlfriend's wives or whatever, and a lot of guys do. That's disgusting, or whatever, And number two is to simp, right? If you don't know what simps are, it's just guys who are just absolutely like submit themselves to women. They just give them attention and money just to get maybe a little bit of attention back. They never get enough attention back. They never get what they want back. And even, married couples, when a guy simps for a wife, I described, the guy would work his ass off and then he would come home and take care of the kids and pay for the dinner to be delivered, and the wife doesn't do shit. And we will do anything for the wife just for her not to leave him for some reason, even though I think it would be a blessing in a situation like that. So it is the only way to date in America, either to simp or to pay. But most of the time, you're required to do both. This is why there is no other way. If you want a good traditional woman as your wife, as your girlfriend, you will not find it in America anymore. You have to move out. And again, gender roles, just in case if you don't know what it is, it's essentially a man has his own roles of being a provider and protector, a good decision maker. That's a lot of fucking work. And a woman has her gender role, right? To be a caretaker. If you have kids, obviously raising kids, but make sure that the household is taken care of. Make sure that the clothes are done. Make sure that food is on the table, right? All of that. Provide feminine energy. Be supportive, loyal. All of those things. Now, I do recommend that your wife or your girlfriend does have a job, not a career. You don't want to date a career woman, but has a job, and I already have a video about that.
And that social media is only making things worse. The Financial Times points out that young men and women increasingly inhabit separate digital spaces, meaning their worldviews are being shaped in totally different ways. We all know how the algorithm works. Men keep seeing content that paints Western women as gold-digging, man-hating, high-maintenance divas, and such, reinforcing the stereotype. The problem is, a lot of these guys are not actually going out and interacting with real-life women. Over 60% of young men are single, nearly twice the rate of young women. Men in their 20s are more likely to be romantically uninvolved.
By the way, I never understood the statistics, and maybe my calculator is broken, but how can there be more of single young men than women? Now, I understand women date older as well, but men also consider they're not single. Well, maybe that's where it is. Like, men will date casually, and the girl they're dating would think, oh, I have a relationship, I'm not single. But the guy would be like I consider myself single, even though I'm seeing several women casually right now, right? But because to me, these are not real relationships, I am single. I'm open for an actual wife type of relationship, right? So maybe that's how that statistics is. But the one thing that I do want to say is that it's very different when women are single and men are single, especially in 30s and 40s and 50s, right? We men, we can buy pretty much everything that we want out of a relationship, right? The majority of it. But what women want out of a relationship is just not for sale. So single men can be perfectly fine if they have a little bit of a budget for that, right? Women, not so much. And that's why you see women in their 30s and 40s making videos like, holy shit, my life is over. I can't believe I'm single. This is so lonely. It's depressing. And, you've seen those videos on my channel.
sexually inactive, friendless, and lonely compared to women in the same age group. So if you're sitting at home alone and undersexed with your phone being your only friend, your entire perception of Western women is of women who are demanding Birkin bags. I mean, it's not hard to see why dating abroad might seem more appealing.
Not really attracted.
So I don't know if that is the best estimation, because I think those men who are not dating women in America, a lot of times they're not dating on purpose. Because they would rather do something else and because it's not worth it anymore. But there are some incels, right, who just, they're trying to get a girl, but they can't. However, I can't imagine why these guys are not getting laid, because, you know, there are sugar babies, right? There are ways to solve the problem with, you can always throw money on a problem, right? I don't want to break terms of use of YouTube that doesn't want to mention, what I'm trying to say, even though I think it should be absolutely legal. But so even if you're an incel, like, you don't have an extra few $100 laying around, dude. Like, I don't get that, right? So I don't think that's how it is. But I do think in what you didn't mention is that what happens on the other side, right? These women who scream, "Oh, I'm very happy," right? Don't believe when a woman says anything, really. Always look at her actions, right? Well, why'd you adopt a cat? Why'd you adopt a dog if you're that happy? What happens? Why are you taking an antidepressants, right? Why, so why you post on social media for attention so much? Like, really, that's a happy life where you consistently need something else to replace essentially what a boyfriend or a husband would be? Like, we can't see right through you, it's not that difficult. So all these women are claiming, and of course these girls can get laid, no problem, but that's not what they want, right? They want an actual relationship, and that's what they cannot get either, right? So I don't think she described the sort of the echo chambers of both sexes that well. But all right, let's keep going.
To Irish women anymore, so I'm more attracted to Asian women and Latino women, and I kind of feel like the feeling's mutual. Generally, I find their personalities not as effeminate and as sensual and sexual. When I talk to a Latina woman, I feel like super on fire, like really energized, high testosterone.
Okay, I wouldn't say high testosterone. You probably get your testosterone high, but you did not the women. Not the best way to phrase it. But yeah, and that's another thing. I also find that, here women, especially younger women, are more attracted to me, not just physically, but because they see a strong man who is a provider, who, is a husband material. And they're like, yeah, that guy. Hey, you're handsome, In America, women don't even know what good men are anymore. Like, if you would have asked a woman 10, 20, 30 years ago, like, they will give her a lot of characteristic than me and this guy have, right? Education, in shape, doesn't have any bad habits, all of those things, like well-traveled, comes from a good family, have a good history of previous relationships, no children, all of that stuff, right? Women don't have that list anymore, right? They don't know what a good man is anymore. And how would they? From their single mothers, who also obviously didn't know what a good man was. It's a vicious circle. And so, yes, you absolutely feel very different here. You see that these women see you as a good man because they know what a good man is. Not all of them. Trust me, not all of them. There's tons of women here who you should stay away from. And they're very much Americanized or have their own problems. Like, Thai women who just also were raised by single mothers. And that's not good in any country.
And like, just I could feel I'm giving good energy and smiling and joking and flirting, and I just get none of that from Irish women.
Like sexual dynamic, I feel like is a thing. Treat each other more like kind of like roommates that just like masturbate with each other's body, so to say. Like Switzerland, like it's routine,
Interesting how he phrased it. It is very transactional. It is very transactional with modern women. Though sex, I would say, is the only thing that American and Western women have to offer to men. And that's why I said, as soon as there is robotics alternative to that with AI, which is coming, American women will be completely useless to men. And it's a it's a time race. It is definitely, because as soon as that becomes available for men, I don't see why an American man would date an American woman.
Like you day in, day out, like, because everything, like you're just kind of caught in that. It doesn't seem so passionate. It doesn't seem like the dynamic is as vibrant.
The second reason is that
I do want to say that a lot of reasons for that is because what women is getting out of the man is mainly money. When you get into those relationships, like that guy, other guy's, brother, yeah, of course, everything is very, mechanical, because the woman is there for a transaction, not for an actual, feelings and a companionship. And that's what majority of relationships I see in America are nowadays.
We often crave the exotic. For a lot of men venturing out to these countries, they're looking for beautiful women with more traditional set of values. Maybe they feel more like a man around these women. And maybe, just like the Swiss guy Robin, they crave the sexual dynamics and the passion and the temperament that is not so prevalent in Switzerland. And in my opinion, there's not much of a difference with women who travel to Brazil, Italy, or Turkey in search of more romance, chivalry, or sensuality. After all, if you're craving that thing that you're missing back home, what is wrong with going abroad to find it? A lot of people will now argue that Western men traveling to poor areas to find women is a slightly different story than women traveling to, say, Italy.
Now I know what she's going to say, and let her say it, but I think it's actually the other way around.
To find a man. And yes, there are definitely cases of older men specifically traveling to places like the Philippines or Thailand and finding younger women to date in those areas, in which case I find it gross and disturbing. Taking advantage of any
Wait, what? How did she make that turn all of a sudden? I'm one of those men, and I date women in their 20s. I'm 48, because these are the type of women who match with me, come up to me, talk to me. We have the best, sort of conversations and chemistry. I actually would love to date a 30-something-year-old. I would even date someone closer to my age, but these are not the women who are attracted to me a lot of times or available. So, or like a lot of them have kids and tattoos and stuff like that. So I don't know why she just said it's disturbing. This is maybe her, Western woman personality is finally showing, and also on top of that being Russian, right? I think it's great. My parents have almost 20-year difference in age, and they've been together for over 50 years. If anybody, I have a very good relationship model that I grew up with, a successful relationship model of an older man, younger woman. So women who say that, this is disgusting, older men, younger women, it doesn't even matter where they are at. I mean, jealous at the very least, I would say, but just also stupid.
one situation is never okay.
I feel like with my physique and my look, right, I don't get anywhere like the credit I feel, being honest, I feel I should in Ireland. I don't get any compliments here, like with my blue eyes. I was like, wow, your blue eyes. Even like if Irish women watch this, I guarantee there'll be negative comments about me. I look too typically and talk like a Dublin guy, and it's just not sexually attractive to them. Like my cheeky jokes and stuff just don't land with them or whatever. But I feel exactly the same way about them. I feel like they're gonna go for the bigger rugby type look guys. 7s and 8s, say in Ireland, like certainly have a higher ego. Just don't look approachable to guys, whereas like you just see this huge range of beautiful women in Latin America that are totally approachable, and there's big egos from Latinas too, but less so.
Now the next very interesting reason is supply versus
Okay, so what she said, she didn't really continue, and then we went to the interview, so I'm a little bit lost because she was talking about the age difference. And to me, if I have so I have some, I would say, friends, like, for example, I don't want to tell you who they are, but there's some women, young women in their 20s who are in my life, obviously. Some of them are provide services like, sell me, meat on a stick at the, local night market. So I know some young women in general, obviously, in their 20s, but not like sexually, right? There's no romantic relationships. As a friendly advice to them, I always say, listen, if you're in your 20s, absolutely date someone who's at least 10 years older than you. This is what I wish for someone who is a girl in their 20s. Your best bet on finding a good husband is someone who's at least 35 and over, because this man is already established. First of all, you're going to know what his personality is. If you're dating someone your own age, you don't know what this guy is going to be in 5 years, right? I'm a very different guy, even when in my 30s than I was in my 20s, right? But once you're in your 30s, things probably not going to change. If anything, a lot of us improve ourselves over the next, couple of decades. I think I have absolutely improved myself as a man, which I think every man should do on a daily basis, especially before coming here and demanding a good, submissive and traditional woman. But What the hell just happened to my fridge? But it's a little totally. It has always been my advice: date someone older. He's going to be established. He's going to be able to provide for you. He knows how to treat a girl, right? I mean, we've all learned in our relationships about how to be in a relationship with a woman, which is a lot of, a lot to learn. So right away, in an older man, you get somebody, and most importantly is most people fuck up their lives in their 20s. The reason people are not happy in their second part of their lives is because they fucked it up in their 20s and it's irreversible. And for women, for example, it's having children and essentially, picking a wrong man to have children with, picking a wrong man in general. So I think the best relationships are of, a girl in her 20s is a man who is 10, 15, 20 years older than him. So in my case, like I said, I don't care about the age as much, but the type of women that I find the most suitable for my lifestyle are women in their 20s. I'm 48. So when I was in Kenya, I was trying to date. I thought, well, I do love Black women a lot. I've dated Black women pretty much most of the time in America in the last 15 years of me being there. And, honestly, even though I didn't come home with anyone in particular, I mean, it was only there for 2 weeks. And I really didn't like the country itself. But I did date with purpose there. And the girl that I would say that I would have, she just wanted to have kids and I don't. But otherwise, I would have probably brought her here with me. She's 20. I'm 48. It's 28-year difference. And to me, she was by far the best match. And in her case, I asked her, like, why do you want to be with someone who's almost 30 years older than you? And all of the answers she gave me were right on the money. This is exactly what I would recommend for any young woman, right? So I wish she would have said something more about that, but I guess we went back to that, guys. I might have missed something here or something.
This is demand. If you're a beautiful woman in a country like Russia or Ukraine, where there are more beautiful, intelligent women to men, some might argue that, but this is my opinion, then how do you up your chances of finding a partner? You travel abroad, less supply, more demand. Now,
by the way, I don't think education has anything to do with attraction to women. Like, I don't, like, being educated is not really a high on a list of a man of whether or not a girl is going to make a good wife. Like, I see a lot of these guys like, oh, this girl is very smart. Like, who gives a fuck? I mean, smart, like book smart, having an education. Who gives a fuck if she has a, as a matter of fact, when I see on dating app, if again, I don't use them as much, but when I see, or if I hear the girl, she got a master's or PhD, I bail. When a girl dedicates her 20s, again, the time of her life to actually score a good man as a husband and get married, when they dedicate it to their education and career, that is absolutely non-wife material for me. So education, to me, it should not be on the list of at least top 10 list of what men looking for in a woman. So a lot of us are not looking for, oh, does she have a, degree in this or a master's? No, we're not. As a matter of fact, it's a turnoff. So I disagree with that part. We're looking for traditional women. Having a master's degree is not part of that list.
Let me give you a specific example. A friend of mine is Brazilian and she hates dating in Brazil. But not only that, her chances of finding a good partner are slimmer in Brazil. Why? Because there are so many beautiful Brazilian women. And not only that, she's just another girl in Brazil. She's not exotic. She's not different. So in order to find a partner, she used Tinder Passport to search for a partner in Sweden, but not in Stockholm. She looked for a partner in a smaller Swedish city, and now she's in a great committed relationship with a Swedish man. The point of this story isn't that—
Whoa. The story is not complete. A lot of times when girls do this, they end up with dudes who have a long-term relationship with these girls. The way they keep these girls is by sending them money. And a lot of times they don't meet. And if they do, it's for a couple of, weeks, maybe a month, a year. It is literally kind of a side chick that's also an AI assistant. So that's what happens a lot of times. When I have, like, there's a lot of Thai women here, like, come to me for my advice, I would like to find a foreigner. What do I do? First of all, do not date a foreigner who does not live here and is committed to this country. Right? I always say, listen, if you want to date a foreigner, ask him 3 questions. First of all, what visa is he on? Oh, 90-day visa. Well, then you're going to be his girlfriend for 90 days. I have a 5-year extendable to 20-year visa, right? Like completely different. Secondly, does he speak any Thai? Any Thai at all? Oh, he doesn't? Well, guess what? Anybody who moves to a country that has a different language as a main language starts learning the language, because if you're going to stick around for a while, you're going to need at least the basics, right? If the guy's not learning the language, he's not sticking around. And of course, number 3 is, does this guy have any friends here? Here in Thailand, does the guy have at least one Thai friend? Is there another Thai person who likes this person? You know what I mean? And most of the time, the answer is no. And these girls end up dating these dudes. And I was like, oh, I can't believe he dumped me. He went back to France or America, or whatever. Well, I told you, girl, like these are not even like hard red flags to see. So these relationships, especially when you're looking for one on Tinder on top of that, that's not a great story. But okay, but it is a common story.
You specifically need to look abroad if you want to find someone. But the point is, your energy, your looks, and your style might be exotic in another country and as such more appreciated. Some of the comments I've seen hate on the idea of fetishizing someone. And I can attest to that. I wouldn't want to date someone who's with me simply because I come from country X. If you're with someone who is with you because you fulfill a certain sexual fantasy, say no to that relationship. But I personally...
All right, so I disagree this, because I dated Black women pretty much most of my adult life. And before that, a very dark-skinned Filipino that everybody thought was Black. But and a lot of times when I would meet a new girl, and she would be like, well, is this a fetish for you? And I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? Because if a fetish is usually if you have a certain sexual preference, right? What's wrong with that? Yes, I absolutely find Black women more attractive, generally speaking, because visually, sexually, absolutely. What's wrong with that? As a matter of fact, wow, you're lucky you have something that you didn't have to work for, that some men find more attractive, where you don't have to compete with other women. What's wrong with that? So I don't really understand this fetish. Like, this is not even a correct word to look at it. It's just called a preference, physical preference, right? Some girls say, oh, I want a guy who's 6'2". I don't see this girl saying, oh no, that's horrible, that's bad, right? It's the same thing. It's a visual sexual preference. So when women have it, oh, you go, girl, but when men have it, disgusting, fetish, So this is, again, where this girl's Russian/Western roots are showing, specifically the double standard. I have no problems admitting that, yes, I find Black women generally more physically and sexually attractive than other women. But I'm here in Thailand. There's still plenty of good-looking Thai women as well. So, this is why I like to react to these videos, because they sound very good. They bring up a lot of good points, and then they give you something that's like, oh, that is not good.
I don't think there's anything wrong with gravitating towards a certain culture because you like the vibe, because you like the energy, because you align with the values, or simply because...
Yeah, see, these are the words that you're now using as very feminist modern women. Vibe, energy. What the fuck does that mean? Vibe, energy. Doesn't mean shit. You girls need to be looking for education, things that you can quantify. Vibe and energy. We're not fucking getting high in Santa Cruz, California. You're looking for a husband after all, right? How about education? How about what kind of family he comes from? How about his previous relationships? Was he a good man before that? If he has kids, is he a good father? Is he well-traveled, especially if we're talking about, dating women outside the culture? Does he understand and adjust to other cultures, right? Like, that should be on the list. But when women use like, oh, I like a vibe, I like energy, you don't know what the fuck a good man is. So, all right, let's keep going.
You find the look attractive. If two people are happy and no one is using anyone else, that's all fine and dandy in my books.
Well, like the girl that I was seeing, she grew up from Manrique. If you know Manrique in Colombia, it's like a very impoverished area. It's a barrio outside of Medellin. So she just was literally like grateful for everything. Like she didn't expect anything. She just worked hard for everything, and that was just something I appreciated.
It's funny how he mentions grateful, because I just made a video. I haven't posted it yet. It's really talks about how women don't even say thank you anymore, especially Western women, but it actually happens here as well. Like, whether in America or here or in Kenya, when I just dated for a little bit also, is, you invite a girl on a date, you buy her a drink. Maybe never buy dinner on the first date. But if a date is going for many hours and now you're hungry, and you feel like, you want to continue, that's okay to, say, hey, how about we grab something to eat? Not at a French 5-star restaurant, right? Should be something very modest, maybe a night market. So, and then you buy, and then it's like, want to make sure you get home safe. Let me get you an Uber, right? So you pay 3 times at least, right in front of their faces. Not a single time. A lot of times women say thank you as you do that. You could be signing, like right in their face, you're signing the bill, right? Here with the QR codes, and not a little, even a bit of activity in their tiny little fucking brains to say, oh, someone's doing something nice for me, I should say thank you, like I was taught by my mother and father when I was 5. No, sometimes so I don't confront them right away. I always confront them, by the way. Just happened the other day, but when they get home, sometimes, especially here, a girl will say, hey, I just want to say thank you for the, planning the date. Thank you for my taxi. Thank you for buying me a drink and a dinner, right? They will literally like itemize it. And you're like, okay, absolutely love that. Let's see each other again. But a lot of times they don't say thank you when you do it. They don't say thank you when they get home. To me, it's 100% deal breaker. A girl who is not grateful and on top of that doesn't have like basic human manners, not a wife material. I wouldn't even be friends with benefits with a girl like that. Absolutely. So it's funny how he mentions, well, it's funny / sad how he mentions how men appreciate women who are grateful, right?
We worked together and got it, so I just really appreciated kind of that like humbleness, I suppose. Like I've dated women in like America and Canada, and it's usually you pay for everything, and then they also just want to do their own thing but not contribute in any manner, it seems like.
So they're expecting you to pay for everything, and yet they're like, I'm a badass woman.
Boss woman movement that
boss bitch.
Yeah, which is cool. Like if that's your jam, like all the power to you. It's just kind of not what I'm interested in. I noticed it a lot.
This guy's growing on me. I mean, honestly, I thought this guy's going to be a douchebag who's going to say everything wrong. He's not going to be a passport bro. But so far, everything out of his mouth is absolutely right on point.
Like I would take girls out to beautiful dinners, restaurants in like Miami, like LA, Canada, Toronto, stuff like that. And they're all I want is a thank you. And I think that's pretty basic.
My goodness, how did I know? I see this guy, me and him on the same page. I think we're becoming best friends here, So I remember, I literally just say that these bitches don't even say thank you. And you pathetic fucking American simps tolerate that. And the reason they don't say thank you is because they don't have to, because you fucking pathetic losers, American single man, European single man, you still bang these chicks, you still buy them dinner, you still date them. If you all stop doing that, these women become normal women again. You've ruined women. I always say this, the behavior of women, modern women, is unacceptable, but I don't blame them for it. I blame men who accept that behavior.
From every guy, we just want appreciation. Like we'll take care of everything, just appreciate it.
Yes, and we don't get that anymore. That's what a lot of these women don't understand. This was a Thai woman that I went out with the other day, and I confronted her. I said, listen, I'm very surprised that you're very proper and very traditional, but I pay for your drink. I pay for the dessert. I made sure you got home safe. And not a single time you'd say thank you to me, And, that's also matters. Like some women will, like in this case, she said, oh, I'm sorry, I did say thank you. Maybe you didn't hear it. I'm sorry, I'm soft-spoken. I absolutely appreciated this, blah, 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 right? So to me, it's like, all right, she dug herself out of that hole. But a lot of times these women try to just make excuses for themselves, just not being grateful, right? And you're like, okay, I know. Back to the streets. I will find someone else who at least has the manners of a 5-year-old.
If I go speak to a Latino on the beach, they'll allow me to be funny and get myself across. But an Irish girl, like within seconds, I'd be like, oh, chill out, or like, oh, who you think you're Don Juan, or some kind of like real joke that just would not be funny to me either. And now we'll be at a clash.
The last point I wanted to...
I think what he's talking about is that approaching Western women is just most of the time is a negative experience, where here in these countries, women, even when they're not interested in you, when they are rejecting you, it is still a positive experience. It's still a pleasant experience. I know it sounds crazy, but it's a pleasure to be rejected by a Thai girl sometimes. You know what I mean? Where an interaction with a Western woman, especially if she's not interested, is just a kick in the balls to a lot of guys. Now, I myself, I haven't done this in a long time, but if I approach a girl that is being rude to me back, I will absolutely call her out on that and be like, you know what? Like, no, I'm not going to take this, right? And I think more men should do that. Just like I said, if a girl doesn't say thank you when you open a door for her, call her out immediately. You know what I mean? So, but because dudes they don't really feel like they need to be kind and respectful to men, right? So I think that's a pretty big point, is that, you know, and this is why a lot of guys, even in America, decides like, well, I'm not even going to bother approaching these women because it's always a negative experience.
Make, and one that I think is incredibly important, is that a lot of us get stuck in an environment where we start to feel invisible. In Toronto, Canada, where I am, for example, it's not normal to approach people on the street. So if you're a man wanting to meet a woman naturally, that can be incredibly frustrating. I can imagine how hard it must be for a man to approach a random woman only to get brutally rejected or even called creepy. And let's be honest.
Yeah. And, you know, by the way, let's talk about creepy, right? Now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of creepy dudes who approach women in a very creepy way. But what these women call creepy is, for example, two guys can approach them in the same way, right? Let's say nothing great, but nothing horrible either, right? If they're attracted to one guy, oh my God, this guy, you know, and the same guy, the guy they're not physically attracted to, even if he did the same approach, they will call it creepy, right? That's a shame. And because that's not creepy, that's just the girl's not attracted to a guy, right? There are creepy guys who approach women by just like staring them from the distance and kind of coming up or starting to touch them. Yesterday I saw a girl, you know, a guy was trying to fill a girl up here, and it's like, this is fucking disgusting, you know? So there are creeps out there. It's just these girls a lot of times use that word towards men who they just don't find them attractive. It's like, you know, if I start talking to a girl and I don't find her attractive and I would call her a bitch, right? It's like, well, she's not a bitch. You're just not interested. Like, what? You know, there are girls who are bitches. You know, she's just not attractive to you. That's, I guess, an analogy I would make. But yeah, girls, modern women call men creepy just because they are not attracted to them physically.
Dating apps don't make it exactly easy for a lot of the men. Women tend to swipe on about 10% of the men. This comes from statistics. I didn't make this up. That's why.
Well, okay, so let's talk about this swiping thing. Again, first of all, I recommend that men get the fuck off of dating apps, especially the main ones like Tinder and Bumble. If you're on those dating apps, God, you're an idiot at this point. Sorry, but if you know, these statistics are very skewed because you have to understand. Most women don't know how to use dating apps. I can't repeat this enough. Women don't know how to use dating apps. And I see a lot of guys here making the same mistakes because once you come to Thailand, to a country like this, all of a sudden your feed of likes that women are already trying to match with you is like 100 or 200 or 300, right? So it's kind of roles were reversed. So a lot of guys and, you know, Western women, they start working off of that list of people who already like them. That's not the way to go because none of them are qualified. You should go back the right way to do it, right, to your feed where you swipe left and right. And if somebody already liked you, then it will be an instant match, as you know, right? But you should go back to your feed that's already preset and filtered for your preferences because the other list isn't, and you're wasting a lot of time. And this gives you, and a lot of women like, oh, look, I am a beautiful princess who is a supermodel, even though she's a 5, because her feed is full of hundreds and hundreds of dudes who she actually doesn't really want, but it's an impression that she gets. And dudes have that impression here as well. But I think we're a little bit more logical here, and we filter out these women pretty quickly. We look a little bit more logically. So majority of women don't even know. So when she says, you know, they swipe right on 10% of men, when they swipe, right? And which feed, right? If you're in your likes feed, yes, you're going to swipe on way less men because a lot of them are not qualified that they are in your already filtered feed, right? So these statistics are always skewed.
Change in environment can make all the difference. You are in a new place, nobody knows you. You can reinvent yourself, you can take risks, and get rejected, and that's totally okay. All in all, I'm not here to promote the Passport Bro movement. And honestly, I don't like the name Passport Bro. It does seem...
Oh, thank God, yes. Who the fuck picked this name? Oh man, it is. I first of all, I'm not a bro. I'm not a bro. That first guy who I thought was a bro, who ended up not being a bro either, right? Man, and when I was starting this channel, I was like, oh, can I think of a name that wouldn't be embarrassing or bad, or you know what I mean? And I was like, I really thought, well, can I start a trend of a better name for me? Because I hate the name and I just couldn't think of anything. There's like Passport King, but then it sounds like I hate when people call themselves kings and queens. None of us are kings or queens. So I really hate it. I really hate it, but it is what it is.
A little bit cringy, but I can understand the reasoning behind it. If you feel undesirable, like your love life isn't going anywhere, or you feel like whatever you're looking for is not available in your country, or at least you feel like it's not available in your country, there is no harm in traveling somewhere where you feel like your values align and finding your partner there. It's better than the alternative, which is growing bitter and resentful, locking yourself up in your home, choosing the virtual world over the real world, taking your own life, or getting violent. All of
I absolutely agree with her here, right? I mean, these are all the bad choices, because I even know some guys who are my friends in America who would make amazing husbands. They would make amazing fathers, and they choose not to date at all. This is how bad it is there. If you realize, and if you have some self-respect and you don't take shit from women, you don't let them disrespect you, you essentially realize that you'd rather be at home, or at the gym, playing soccer or football or whatever, going out, traveling, keeping your money in your pocket, and maybe treating yourself to better experiences because you don't have to spend money on women. A lot of them choose that. But unfortunately, she does mention that some men choose to take their own lives. She also mentioned violence. And I already made a video about it, and it was based on this Netflix series called Adolescence, right? It is an early warning. And my prediction, now don't confuse wishes and prediction. I hope it doesn't happen, but this is my prediction, that men will grow more violent towards women. I will just give you a very simple example, right? Like for me, when a girl stands me up on a date, when I show up and she doesn't show up, right? Or she ghosts me after a date when I spend money on her and, got my hopes up or whatever, or even like on a dating apps, right? For me, it's not a big deal because I'm in Thailand. I have like 10 other women lined up. It's not a problem, right? Whatever, right? But for a guy who maybe gets one match a month, right? And this was a huge high hope, and he thought they had a good time, and he paid money for it, right? And then when the girl is so disrespectful that she wouldn't even reach out to him and say, hey, listen, I know I had a good time. Thank you so much, but I don't think we're a good match. I think you're a good guy and you'll do so well. Thank you for everything, but unfortunately, I'm going to move on, right? When you don't even get that and they just ghost you, this is, to me, and I think to a lot of men, it is very disrespectful. Again, in my case, I brush it off because the next girl is, within a phone call. But for some guys, the next girl is a month or two away. And I can see how these guys can get really bitter and really angry. And a lot of times, these guys can trace these girls, right? Like the girls say, oh, I work over there, I work for that company, or, this is where I come from. Sometimes they just disclose it in a conversation. And these guys, I think sooner or later will end up like, oh, you don't want to talk to me after all of this? I'm going to go there and I'm going to confront her, right? I can see this happening in the future. And some guys might just confront someone verbally, which, and some may get carried away. And I think this is why, the disrespect that women, generally modern women in modern societies, now have towards men in general in a society and within the dating world. I think, unfortunately, what we're going to see as a sort of a pushback is, yes, some men will go back home. Some men like me will move the fuck out of, the country, but some men will resort to violence. And I think this is going to be a very unfortunate thing that will divide us even further. But this is what I kind of expect is going to happen. At least that's what logically, and I think already we're seeing some cases of that. I recommend for men who are just, forget about, like, if you want to find a submissive girlfriend, traditional wife, whatever, absolutely get the fuck out of America. Like I said, the link in the description of this video, the millionmenproject.com. There is no other set of sort of step-by-step instructions for anybody who wants to get out of there and make a new life somewhere else overseas and enjoy many, many benefits of the lifestyle here, but including amazing women, go there, instead of just maybe not dating at all. So that is the best way to go, and I would encourage you just at least look into it. Go to the link in the description. At least look at all the steps that I have outlined. I spent 3 months researching it, retracing my own steps of how I got here, what were good steps, what things I would have done differently. I mean, people don't even know how to keep their like American numbers, and then they get locked out of their bank accounts, for example, right? Because they cannot get that like 5-digit code or whatever to log in. So all of it is there, including the fact what you can expect from these amazing women here in other countries. But thank you to this lovely lady who made this video. I disagreed with her on a few things, but overall, I think she definitely, this was a high quality, good sort of mix of all of the things that Passport Bros are about. I'd say 5% of 4 things that she said I strongly disagreed with, but the 95% of it was just excellent. This was just an excellent video. So thank you so much for that. I love reacting to videos like this. But I react to videos every day. I stream live from right here, Bangkok, Thailand. I'm just about to head out and get some delicious Thai food. Well, today I'm actually going for Vietnamese. And Vietnam was originally the country I was actually thinking about going. But there are no good legal ways to stay there long term. And so I ended up in Thailand, and I love the fact that I just chose this country that became my home, and I don't see myself living anywhere else. I just went to Kenya and Egypt, 31st, 32nd countries that I've ever been to. And every time I come back, I'm like, nope, Thailand is my home. Like I said, the dating scene here is not the best, I think. There are other places where specifically dating is, but as far as overall lifestyle, overall quality of life, I can't imagine any other spot in the world than here, and specifically Bangkok, Thailand. So come and visit. Go to themillionmanproject.com to see how you can do that. And hopefully I will see you tomorrow on this live stream when I'm going to review a different video in the Manosphere social media space. All right? Peace.